Hey everyone, welcome to another edition of my live tea tasting. I've got a great blend for you guys today, and I'm seriously excited because this is one that I have been wanting to do for quite some time. What happened was I actually met this tea vendor at a Comic-Con, and what happened was we oh, is this, am I on? Oh, wait, I'm looking at the wrong one. I'm trying to monitor my stream because I never get my comments on my phone. So yeah, it's just gonna take a second to orientate myself. There we go. Okay, hey Snea, welcome. Now I'm getting my messages. Hey Ma, welcome. Okay, so I met these vendors at a Comic-Con, and we talked a little bit, and I wanted to get, was this orientate is not a word? It's a word today. It's my word. You want to say that I made up that word? Well, all words are made up, so I'll take that. Anyway, so we met at a Comic-Con, and we wanted to do some partnering, but I was not able to follow up with them, so unfortunately, I've waited long enough, so I'm going to go ahead and do their blend without them. And today's blend is going to be Cherry Blossom from Apothecary Teas. And so far, this thing smells amazing. It's got black tea, cherries, almonds, rose petals, natural cherry flavor, and natural almond extract. And let me tell you, first off, this smells really good. There's a really strong presence of cherry, to the point where it kind of, hey Zam, welcome, to the point where it kind of smells fermented, and that's from the acidity of the cherry. So it's got that really strong cherry scent, and I'm really looking forward to seeing what this tastes like. So you know what, let's take a look at the tea itself. When it's dry, it's a very colorful blend. As you can see, there's a lot of yellow, there's a lot of oranges, there's black, there's the pink from the rose petals, and everything looks like it's nice and chunky, so that's going to give me a lot of flavor. And it doesn't look like there's anything in here that's artificial. I mean, you can see everything that's in there. We have the almonds. Look at that nice big chunk of almond. We have the cherries, and it's not just the cherry skin; it's the actual cherry. Like you'll have a good chunkiness to it. We have the rose petals, of course, which I just accidentally dropped. There we go. So we have the rose petals here. It's a little bit. No, let me find a more colorful one, because that one looks like a little bit off. The pink, there we go. I'm going to put this down for just a second. So we have like the rose petals, it's nice and colorful. And of course we have the black tea, which I'm going to have to dig a little bit. There we go. So it looks like the black tea that they used is going to be a CTC, most likely Assam. CTC stands for cut, tear, curl, which means they take the leaves, they tear it into smaller pieces, and they oxidize it, they heat it, and they curl it so that you get kind of like a little ball of tea. What is it? Oh, what does CTC stand for? Yeah, it's cut, tear, curl. So you have these nice little pellets, and that constitutes for a stronger, bolder flavor, which should be interesting because we're gonna have that under the. Oh yeah, no two C's at the end. Oh, I know what you meant. Don't worry. It's gonna have that bolder taste under the cherry. So we're gonna see how that all interplays in just a moment. Now, if we take a look at the steeped leaf, you'll see there's very little difference in the color. Right now, the colors have blended, and it looks a lot lighter in the wet leaf than it is the dry. Try not to spill anything here. So you'll see the dry leaf is more, like the colors are more sharp, but the wet leaf is blended, so you have an overall orange instead of the individual yellow, pink, white, and black flecks in there. As well, you'll see that the rose petals have gotten a little bit bigger. So you saw the other one was kind of tiny. This one's a little bit bigger. But there's not going to be much change in the size of the black tea itself. Since it is CTC, there's not much leaf to expand. So you're going to have a general, there we go, a general look to it. So it looks like it kind of just doubled in size, but it's still pretty tiny in comparison to what it was even smaller. So you'll have a more open leaf, but it's not going to be like a dramatic change because the plant matter itself has been reduced in the cut, tear, curl process. So that being said, let's take a look at the liqueur. As you can tell, there's a nice thick liqueur. You can't really see through it. There's a hole. It looks like it's got this apple cider kind of look to it. It's kind of brown, kind of red, kind of pink, kind of orange. There's a lot of complex colors going on in there, and I'm looking from my angle. Probably you probably can't see it from there, but looking at it from my angle, you can see through some of the tea and through some of the glass, and I'm getting like little flecks of green around the rim. There's also a lot of sediment. You're not going to see that through the camera because it's not able to focus in as well. But that's adding to the opacity. I was about to say opaqueness. The opacity of the liqueur. You can't really see through it because there's so much. There's so much sediment in there, which is, I always say, it's not a bad thing. It's not it's not an indicator of quality. More like it's just an indicator of the ingredients that are in there. And then when you're using fresh ingredients, you're gonna have that that sediment because you're getting it from the actual ingredient rather than from powder. You know, if you have like powdered flavored rose petals, or if you have anything that's powdered in there, you're not going to see it as much because it's going to dissolve into the tea. So without further ado, I have talked a whole lot more about this tea to introduce it than I usually do, but it's a very complex tea, so it stands to reason. But let's go ahead and take our first sip. Oh, that smells really nice. There's a lot of the rose in there that I'm getting. It's funny because like I'm smelling more of the rose than the cherry now. Kind of floral. So we'll see how strong the rose taste is in here. Oh, that's very nice. I'm getting a whole lot of cherry and a whole lot of rose, and they're complementing themselves really well. There is a little bit of astringency coming in from the black tea, but overall it's not bad. There's a kind of, how do I put this? The sweetness from the rose and the cherry is going a long way to cover up the astringency of the black tea, and the black tea is also like the earthiness of it is adding substance to the sweetness of the rose and the cherry. So this is a really good, very well blended tea. There's also a thicker mouthfeel to it. As I mentioned before, it looks like apple cider, but it has that same consistency. It's slightly thick, slightly grainy. That's probably from the sediment that's in there, and it's not a heavy mouthfeel. It's more midway. I would say it's got that consistency of a nice warm apple cider, to the point where it's kind of on the milky end texture wise. And it's very smooth going down. It's kind of juicy in a way, because it's got that sweetness and the acidic. What are the things in the blend? You mean the ingredients? Yeah, they have black tea, which is the CTC Assam, cherries, almonds, rose petals with natural cherry flavor, and natural almond extract. Yeah. So, like I said before, like there's a lot of things going on with this tea, and it's blended very, very well. In this case, I'm assuming, because there's not a whole lot of sediment at the bottom of this, the natural almond flavor and the natural cherry flavor are sprayed onto the tea as it goes on, so it enhances the flavor without coming into the realm of artificial flavoring. What they'll do is they'll take all the ingredients, dry them out, powder it, and then put it in like a solution, usually like water. It's like usually water and stuff like that. And they spray it down naturally with a spray bottle, and so it doesn't rehydrate the teas all that much, or they might just spray it on before they dry it and then add it in. It's hard to say sometimes because it differs from product to product. Whoever does the actual producing of it, there's various ways to get it all done. Sometimes what they'll do is they'll take the leaves before it goes into the processing, and they'll spray it all down, and then it gets dried and fired and goes through the CTC, and it goes oxidized and all of those things. So it has all that flavor instilled into it throughout the whole process. So you'll get a whole lot of different methods. It's hard to say which method that they used, but whatever method they did, it's very well put together in this particular blend. Now I love the way that it just kind of sits on my throat and it just makes its way down. The flavor is very strong, very profound, and it's not the kind that like chokes out the palate, but it's very smooth, very sweet, and it gives me a lot of good. Gee, thanks, Suki. You have your. I appreciate your timing on this. You okay? Okay, yeah. The joys of having a dog. It's she's not puking, but she's got she gets hyper sometimes. And when she does, she'll just start hacking a little bit. I don't know what was going on before she started to do that, but yeah, she's fine. Anyway. Mm. So there's a subsequent, as it cools down, I'm starting to get more of the black tea in there. Um, it's getting to the point where it's. Am I frozen? Oh no. Okay. It's getting to the point where it's like a little bit earthy, uh, but it's still maintaining that strong, sweet, and floral flavor. I'm not getting any additional astringency. It's not getting bitter. It's not getting stronger. And also, I want to point this out. I did this on purpose, but the instructions here say to steep it for 3 to 5 minutes. I did it for the full 5, specifically because I wanted to see how it holds up to that temperature. And I did it at 212, which you're supposed to. And you can understeep this. I can see why they would suggest understeeping, because when you're dealing with CTC, it's very it can get overpowering. So they put that in there as a precaution. But in this case, the black tea holds up very, very well. I'm not getting any of the astringency. I'm not getting any of that back of the throat ick that sometimes you get with a black tea. And this is definitely the kind of tea that I would have iced. It's hard to say how well the astringency would handle if it were iced. But so far it's doing pretty well. I don't know if I would sweeten it if it was iced. So far, I don't think it really needs it. It's keeping up its quality very well, but it's hard to say how it would hold up until you actually ice it. And around this point, somebody would usually ask me if I would put any cream in there or any milk. In my opinion, I would be very cautious to do that, because we're dealing with actual cherry, and cherry is very acidic, so you put the milk in there, it's probably going to curdle. So I would suggest to avoid doing that, unless you don't mind the curdling. I don't mind it usually, but to each their own. Some people get grossed out by that. Hey, Izzy, how's it going? Welcome. Sorry, I'm I've got 2 screens to work with, and I'm just making sure my network is keeping strong. So sorry for the delay. Let me move this. Whoops, let me move that a little bit closer so that I don't miss out on you guys. Izzy is on Twitch, and I appreciate that because I'm trying to grow that channel a little bit. Granted, I do not stream on Twitch very often, which I really should start, but I don't know. We'll see. I have some ideas brewing about that, but that'll be in the future. But in the meantime, we'll keep going. So it's about that time. Questions, comments, anything you want to talk about. I am opening up the floor, and as always, I'm going to answer the question that Teresa asks every single time. What food would I pair this with? Well, being that this is a very sweet tea, I would go with a dessert kind of thing. Definitely a chocolate would work very well. It's got that depth to it to really hold up very well with the chocolate. I would probably also add a kind of I don't know, something. If I were to go more on the lighter side, I would say probably like a stroopwafel Do I like the taste of the almonds at all? The almond taste is kind of muted. It's up against a lot of sweetness, and so the almond kind of just acts as like a, how do I put this? Like a vanilla oatmeal kind of undertone to it. Normally, I don't like the almond tea on its own. You get this kind of amaretto flavoring to it, and like it's decent. It's just not my forte. But in this case, the almond is understated, so you have to kind of look for the flavoring. Oh, because I didn't mention it. Yeah, because I mean it's really. I didn't mention it because it's not really profound in it. Like it's there. It's just one of the. It's not as bold as the black tea or the hey pops, welcome. It's just not as bold as the black tea or as sweet as the cherry and the I don't know, the rose, but it is there. Hey Jaren, welcome. And you can see this is like definitely it's all the ingredients are fresh. I just ate an almond and it tastes like a cracker. And that's why you can see how it's easily missed in the blend. Because it's an unsalted cracker. You know, and it's really hard to find it. It's there, I can taste it, but I really, really have to look for it. And if you have to really look for it, it's probably not worth mentioning. I'm gonna wash some of that down. Because it's literally like a cracker. It was starting to dry up my mouth a bit. But the flavor itself is so bold and so sweet that it maintains its own structure throughout, even as it cools down. Right now, it's getting closer to room temperature. I did this about let me see, 22, so about 32, 33, 35, 36, 37, 37 minutes ago. So this has been cooling ever since, and so it's closer to. It's still warm. But it's closer to room temperature. Hey, Nicole, welcome. It's closer to room temperature now than when I first started. So as you know, as the tea cools down, different flavor profiles start to pop up. And that's why I'm kind of surprised that the CTC is coming out stronger. And the cherry blossom. Oh yeah, this is really good. I really think that you would like this one because it's not super strong at all. What was I saying? Oh yeah, that I was surprised that it's starting to get a little bit earthy as it cools down, because normally the tongue would pick up on sweetness as it cools rather than that earthiness, but it's maintaining that earthiness a little bit stronger than I thought it would be, which is fine because it's not astringent, or at least I'm not picking up that astringency. Please let Suki in. Suki can stay out there because she's fine. It's not hot, and I only have 6 more minutes, so she can wait a little bit longer. What was this? That will probably be good either way, hot or cold. Oh yeah, absolutely. I would definitely recommend playing with it a little bit. Bring a sweater tea. Would it be good cold? Absolutely. At least in my opinion. Was this? Oh, you meant bring a sweeter tea? Was that it? The spell check did a number on your comment. I'm assuming you meant sweeter. I don't know. But what I'm saying is this seems to be a very flexible blend. I would definitely try to taste this iced because you're getting that crisp sweetness with the undertone of earth. Can somebody I hear myself? Can you mute me? I don't know where that's coming from. It's like a little bit distracting. Anyway, what was I saying? That I'm able to. Okay. I'm assuming if this is one of the sweeter teas, yes, this is a pretty sweet tea. I don't believe that it would need much sweetness, at least when it's hot. I usually sweeten my cold teas because when I ice them, I like to have it really, really sweet. Just because, like, sometimes the astringency does come out more when it's cold, but that's not really typical. It all depends on how you brewed it. So we're having a discussion of everything that was going on with sweeter when iced is better. Oh yeah, absolutely. Like having that enhanced sweetness, especially when it's cold, you'll get that more vibrant flavor. And I always prefer that. It's personal preference. But you don't have to do it. We were also discussing different methods to brew different teas. So I found out that cold brewing black teas offers a more crisp flavor, while hot brewing an herbal brings out like that smoother flavoring to it. Definitely give it a shot. So that being said, I wanted to. Okay, yeah, I'm having some signal issues. But that being said, I do have an incredible announcement for you guys today. And so far, I heard Sheila already mention this, so I'm gonna go ahead and take. I wanted to wait a little while. But since Sheila already took the incentive, I'm going to follow in suit. I have been invited to to help organize the Chicago Tea Festival for 2024. And there's exciting things happening right now. We're putting it together. It hasn't been in a physical place since 2018, because after that COVID hit, they weren't able to bring it back. They tried virtual, and it just didn't have that same feeling. So yes, I am on the board. There's 3 of us so far, and we are so excited to get the ball rolling on this. I'm going to keep you guys posted every step of the way, because this thing is just as exciting to me as it is to you guys. If you're in the Chicago area, I invite you, please come by, because this is going to be such a great time, and you'll be missing out if you don't. It's one of those experiences where I was able to go to the 2018 event, and I had an absolute blast. I met so many people, so many vendors, so many special guest speakers, and it was just such a great, exciting environment, and I loved it. So now to be on the other end of it and help organize it from the ground up, it's just a wonderful feeling, and I'm going to definitely share that excitement with you guys and just keep it going. So, that being said, I'm going to go ahead and close out for the night. Thank you so much for joining me. This has been an incredible experience. I will offer a link in the description if I can find it. I'm not sure if they have a website. Oh, they do. Okay, great. I will share the link to this blend, and I highly recommend it. It is absolutely delicious. So, yeah, let's go ahead and close things out. Have a great night, a wonderful weekend, and I'll see you next time. Bye.